Good morning. Today is March 20th, and this is a Bitcoin Morning Brief. I'm Leah Wald, hosting this morning here with Tone Bays. If anyone missed it or fell asleep before midnight, if they're here on the East Coast, Tone did a traditional markets video last night. Tone, sorry for screwing up TradingView with my Japanese equities question last night, but are you going to start doing more traditional markets?
I'm going to try to. I'm going to also try not to be a total idiot when it came to remembering which companies are in the FANG index. FANG is actually kind of new. I did know that. I don't know. Like after I closed the show, I'm like, wait, what did I say? It's time to go to sleep. So check that out. I actually turned comments back on for just that reason, so I can properly correct myself. But other than that, I mean, I don't even know how long it was. It kind of dragged, but I haven't done it in a month, so it was just had to be done.
Awesome. All right. New York story. Hello, Wall Street. There we go. Okay, cool. So Northern Trust, PBOC, launched instant blockchain audits. So Northern Trust, a major US custody bank, is laying the foundations for large-scale adoption of its blockchain-based platform for private equity funds in partnership with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, running on a Hyperledger Fabric with patent pending. So actually, I think this is a huge story, as it looks like this is probably the first substantial commercial usage of blockchain, right? These are two huge companies with millions of clients, super well respected. And as a little background on an investment management world, right? Like including private equity, with the client as Carlyle, they're buying and selling assets through, it's called general partnerships, the GPs, with limited partners, the LPs. And the LPs don't often know what's being bought or sold until months or quarters after the fact, because a lot of the assets can be illiquid, right? So this is saying specifically that it's going to make available almost on a daily basis the valuations and the purchases and sales, so that the GPs will have that information and the LPs will to the extent that the GPs want to share it. So I think this is a huge competitive advantage for any of those using blockchain. Tone, I think this is going to spread quickly.
Sure. I get. Okay, so here's my issue with this. This is great, but it's not a blockchain. Like that's the problem, right? Like here, like if you read that quote, right? No. Okay.
This one?
Yeah. No. The one be above that. Maybe that one too. Yep. We've taken that.
Yep.
Right. So I'll read it. We've taken we've taken and updated the process that was manual and happens periodically, and we've enabled that to be done automatically. Great. I am doing that right now with registrations for my seminar. It was done manually, and now it's going to be done automatically through a website. Notice how I am not using a blockchain to do this. Okay, so there was another quote like, okay, guys, unless you're transferring value in a censorship-resistant way, you're not using a blockchain. You're just using a database. I don't know how else to say it. And no, this doesn't look scary. It only looks scary is because you're employing a technology that you don't understand. You could bring me in as a consultant. I can write you a macro in VBA behind an Excel spreadsheet. And then anytime someone enters a position, they enter it into a spreadsheet, and the macro on the back end will send an automatic email that will get to anywhere you want to go, notifying your party what has just happened. Okay? Like it's frustrating. It's just frustrating how the word blockchain that Satoshi created with Bitcoin has been degraded to such a degree that sending an automatic email has now become revolutionary, you know?
Well, however it works or not, the buzzword of blockchain, as we know, I do bet loads of other companies are going to follow suit. I guess we'll see. So moving on to another Hyperledger initiative, which I'm sure you're going to have fun with. 14 Thai banks back blockchain platform to digitize contracts. So as it says here, 14 Thai banks will join hands to develop a shared trade finance platform based on blockchain technology, the central bank said Monday. So this is really actually similar, I see, to the China story that we talked about yesterday, with the difference being that this is commercial rather than China's initiative, which was governmental, right? So you mentioned in the past, also just right now, But specifically, you've mentioned in the past that you have issues, or you think there's issues with IBM's Hyperledger Fabric. Do you foresee problems with this initiative utilizing IBM's Hyperledger?
Well, again, this is great. This is what the banks needed, and if they want to use, Hyperledger Fabric or Hyperledger something else, that's fine. If it works, I don't really know the technical details of Fabric. I just know that it doesn't actually utilize a blockchain, and all of these articles talk about permissioned blockchains, and I mean, it's just a database. It's just a database that they share. There's no blockchain aspect to it. There is no mining. There's no what do you call it? Finality of any of those transactions. There's no censorship resistance needed here. Like, you guys don't need a blockchain. You just need a database that you can all agree to that will keep all of your records. Now, if that's going to be Hyperledger, that's fine. And I guess if they use the blockchain buzzword to get this business, that's kind of fine. But as long as the people that are programming, the important thing is this: at the end of the day, are the people programming Hyperledger at IBM understand that they are not a blockchain? If they understand that they are not actually a blockchain that requires proof of work and censorship-resistant value transfer, then everything's going to be fine. If they think that they are, then they're going to screw this up royally.
Yeah, it'll also be fun to see how things develop with quantum. And absolutely. So moving on, going quickly today.
Yeah, sorry guys, no Giacomo today, still no Jimmy. I need to find one more good replacement for when either of them can't make it. So you just have me today. Sorry to disappoint you.
Okay. So Trump issues action blocking Venezuela cryptocurrencies within the United States. As it mentions here, Trump's executive order bans any transactions within the United States involving digital coins issued by the Venezuela government. This is the latest move by the Trump administration to restrict Maduro's regime access to capital. So, Tone, is it actually possible for a regulator in the United States under Trump's ban to make sure that people don't trade a token anonymously, potentially using an exchange like BitMEX?
Well, I don't think, no, BitMEX doesn't deal with this kind of stuff. This is more for like Poloniex and Bittrex.
Okay, but are they able, I think people are able to circumvent. Can Trump actually ban this from happening?
I don't know. I have actually like two contradictory views on this story. On the one hand, I think it's bad for Trump to say this because it brings more attention to this stupid currency created by Venezuela. The only thing that backs this currency by the petro is the word of a communist dictator saying that it is backed by petro. There's absolutely no technological way of enforcing this. There's no political way of enforcing this. The only thing that keeps this currency to 100 million tokens is, again, a communist dictator's word that he's not going to print any more money. And Trump making a big deal out of this is not something I want to see because it draws more attention to this stupid initiative by Maduro. And now he gets to say how, the U.S. hates them and the U.S. is against their population, fueling hatred of that population against the U.S. Also in this article, Trump talks about potential military action against Venezuela. Again, I know while a lot of the people in Venezuela will be happy if the U.S. came down there with some force, but Maduro can, route up his troops saying, hey, look, America is going to come here like they did in Iraq and other places. So on the one hand, I think this is absolutely stupid. On the other hand, this Venezuelan currency is a total scam. So what, and dumb people, especially here in the US, are buying into this as an investment. So like, what do you do?
Yeah. What I have found interesting is I do think Trump's threatening, which is also kind of ridiculous, though, is kind of uniting Latin American and other countries against Venezuela. And also just, you said bringing it up, this Petro coin, that's true. But it also is bringing up Venezuela to the narrative. So, he's threatening military action. He's calling him a dictator, to be determined, or I won't go political on the show today, but I guess we'll see if other people will rally behind what's going on. Although I don't see how this can be enforced at all. And I absolutely agree that Venezuela's coin is ridiculous.
It can. Yeah, see, I don't know how you can enforce it, right? Because a lot of these exchanges, they're not American companies, right? So if these exchanges start trading this currency, I'm not sure. Like now Trump has to, go after an exchange, let's say in Hong Kong, saying, hey, one of your companies that's dominated in Hong Kong is breaking our sanctions on Venezuela. And now what do, right? Do you really create bad relations with Hong Kong over a shitcoin exchange? Like it's bad. Like now, of course, the smart thing to do is not to help Venezuela do this kind of bullshit. Now, the way Trump could easily teach people a lesson, if he wanted to, he can. But again, now this becomes a problem. He can round up, if there was any American citizen involved in being a consultant on this creation of the Petro, he can go after those people saying, hey, you helped a country that is on our sanction list economically create a new economic currency. Again, this gets him into the gray zone, because if, say, this was an economics MIT professor that wanted to try something, revolutionary in the field of economics to try and get Venezuela out of its, shithole economically, what do? Do you go and arrest a prominent MIT professor who potentially has a Nobel Prize in economics? So this gets into a really, really, really gray area. There's no good answers, just general comments. I don't know. Let's just say I can debate both sides of what Trump said.
Right. Or trading in Japan. I'm also not sure how much I believe at all this Bitcoin's price dropping following this order, especially as other people they're correlating it to BOJ's growth. I mean, everything, right? So, all right. More on Asia. All right. So another China story. Newly appointed PBOC governor, once called Bitcoin inspiring, praised its accessibility. So this article explains that the new governor of the People's Bank of China, who was appointed yesterday, Yi Gang, he has been a public advocate of Bitcoin since 2013. And they're saying that he could soften the institution's stance towards cryptocurrencies. But as of now, China still has a hardline stance on cryptocurrencies. So again, I had a little.
Any more Chinese for you to translate for
us?
Yeah,
actually, I had a little fun. Okay, so what it does not say in the article that I did find interesting, which I highlighted for people who do speak Chinese, is that Yi spoke about promoting the use of digital technology to promote inclusive finance, but also about establishing a legal regulatory framework that's suitable for digital inclusive finance, but kept mentioning the need and that he would be interested in creating regulations. So actually what I find most interesting in my eyes is that it's actually really important political news, because this weekend, Xi Jinping, right, was appointed president for life. So I would see this as a move that he is trying to establish his strength and support of the president, since anyone in power will be very nervous about saying anything that the president doesn't agree with. Therefore, I would conclude, I think, that the president, Xi, agrees with what this governor is saying. And I think that this has got to be good news for Bitcoin, don't you think?
Sure. This goes to my constant saying that each regulator and each person in the government, in a way, has their own agenda. And one day that agenda is to demonize crypto, and the next day that agenda is to open crypto up. We will see. I expect these stories to constantly be with us. This guy comes into power, he's going to regulate. This guy comes into power, he's going to open it up. But this needs to be broken down. Like, there needs to be a distinction between Bitcoin, altcoins, ICOs. Like, there needs to be clear-cut distinction. What puts you into what bucket? And if you somehow find a way to do something else, there needs to be another bucket, right? Like, this whole crypto space needs to be in multiple buckets, and you'll see how Bitcoin almost stands on its own, with maybe one or two other coins in the Bitcoin bucket, like but the people in the government, they don't really, like, they need the right consultants, and it's hard to find them because people that actually understand don't want to work with the government. And people that want to push their own altcoin scam will be happy to work with the government because they can put their scam into a different bucket and profit on that. I don't know. Like, I'm not very optimistic that anyone is actually going to get this right the way I see it. Because to me, that's right, So we'll see. So far, this is just an article. The guy comes in, and this is all, speculation on the part of Bitcoiners. We have absolutely no idea what they're actually going to say.
Right. So I think it'll be interesting, though, seeing who gets lined up and appointed by Xi. So we should just follow. But I absolutely agree. All right. Price.
All right. Let's talk about the price. Where's my screen share? All right. Here we go. There's nothing I can say about the weekly chart. It's going to stay the same. This entire week is going to be neutral no matter what happens, unless something catastrophic happens. So unless we go above 10,000 or below, or like below 7,000, this $3,000 range is totally neutral. And if you don't have a conviction as to what probabilistically is going to happen to Bitcoin, you shouldn't be active trading. You can still, like, hold it as a store of value, as an uncensorship means of value transfer, as a unconfiscatable asset. But as far as active trading goes, I wouldn't touch it here. So as long as we stay below the def cross, which is coming in about 3 days, that's when the 50-day moving average crosses below the 200-day moving average. If the price goes into the def cross and starts to show some weakness, this becomes a high probability short trade. Also, if the price goes back to the upward trend line, currently sits in the vicinity of 7,800. If the price goes back there, closes below it, let's not jump the gun again like last time, closes below it, opens below it, and makes a lower low, it becomes a probabilistic short trade. So notice what I've talked about so far are two possible short trades. I don't see any probabilistic long trades here other than getting us out of this triangle. Now, granted, according to my own indicator that I like to throw on here, yesterday we did have a candle with a green 2 trading above a green 1. So if you had mechanical trading set up on the time indicator, you would be in a long trade with a very deep stop loss below the swing low at 7,200. Perhaps you can raise that stop loss to just above or just below the trend line at 7,700 or something like that. I would be nervous about the long trade here a little bit. But hey, this is why a trader makes his own trading decisions. I very rarely buy into dead cat bounces. I only do it on perfect scenarios. Maybe if this reversal candle took place on a 9 and not on a 4, not on a red 4 that turned into a red 1. If this took place on an 8, 9, or a 1, traditional 1, I would have considered playing the dead cat bounce for a 1 to 4 day reversal, but I would have had to enter it near the lows of the rebound day. And clearly I was bearish that day because it was a bearish day. Rebounded on news from the G20 that to me was not really that much of a news event. Here is the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart did give us that 9 right after I went to bed last night. That 9 did not hold, turned into a price flip, but my arrow is still there. Again, we are now kind of stuck again. So there is a good probability that we will bust up out of this consolidation. However, I'm still expecting it to be short-lived, and I will be watching the depth cross very, very diligently, even though I will be in Russia. As of tomorrow, I fly out today. I think I closed the other chart by accident. It's either the 12-hour or the 1 hour. Where are my Bitcoin charts? Yeah, I did all of the traditional markets last night. Oh boy, where to go? Oh, here it is. This should be the 12-hour chart. And yeah, the 12-hour chart bottom off the 13, a couple of days off. I already expected it to keep going down. So again, this was not a bullish trade I would have been able to time on the 12-hour. It's already kind of dying out, right? Like, you really want the rebound off of this low to be as strong as the drop that took place back in the first week of March. And look how strong it was in all these candles on a 12-hour chart. And now you're already like dying out. Like, I think this bullish momentum is starting to fizzle out. I'm not being very optimistic here, I know. And here's the 1 hour chart. The 1 hour chart has not been doing anything. So that's pretty much it. Nice quick show for you guys today. Unless, Leah, you saw a really good question come through, or you have a question, we can probably go ahead and end it here.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to today's Bitcoin Morning Brief. It's March 20th. You can find us on iTunes, thanks to World Crypto Network. I'll keep looking for questions, but I think that's end for today. Have a great day, everybody. Tone?
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Oh, wait, I gotta stop.
You're still live.